Yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedamshcha prahinoti tasmai tam hadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshor vai sharanamaham prapadhi. We're happy that we are going to study the Kena Upanishad, a beautiful Upanishad. And in the traditional way, it falls second in number. Isha Kena Katha Mundaka Mandukya, it goes like that. Kena falls in the second of the Shankara's commentaries. And this Upanishad begins with the word Kena. Kena means by whom. Hence it is called as Kena Upanishad. And it forms the 9th chapter of Brahmana, that is the ritualistic portion. And it's in the Samaveda. We know the 4 Vedas are there, Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva. So it falls into the Samaveda. And since I said it's in the ritualistic portion, so Upanishad, the chapters before this Upanishad deals with rituals, sacrifices, meditation on deities, and all that. And many more things are there. Lineage, genealogy, and anyway, we don't need. But the sacrifices, rituals, and meditation on the deities, if done without any ulterior motive, so it helps in the purity of mind. Even as it is, for a person who wants to embark on the path of Advaita Vedanta, has to fulfill certain condition, that is, has to do selfless service, that is ego reduction, for the ego reduction, and Saguna Upasana, that is Upasana, meditation on God with attributes, which helps in inculcating devotion and concentration. So purity is acquired through selfless activities, the ego reduction is there, and along with that, concentration of mind and one point dedication to the ideal. All this are achieved as a preparation. And then one has to embark. And the aim of the Upanishad, as all else, is the knowledge of the unity of Atman and Brahman, the reality within me, the reality without, the oneness of that. The thinking minds have always posed this question. Is this all we can know about it? About the knowledge that comes through mind and senses. Is there any higher knowledge which is infinite and nobler, whatever it is? Is there any such knowledge? So each Upanishad brings up this idea in its own way. For example, in the Katha Upanishad we read Nachiketa asking Yama, when a person dies, some say everything is finished with that person, and some say, no, there's something which survives that body, death of the body. So that reality I want to know. This is one approach of the Upanishad in acquainting us with the reality of Atman. Then we saw in the Mundaka Upanishad, the disciple asking, what is that by knowing which one can know everything else? And in this Upanishad also, a question has been asked. A challenge is put to the credentials of the senses and mind in ascertaining the ultimate reality. Are the senses and mind capable of ascertaining the truth of Atman or Brahman or what ultimate reality, whatever is there? And to this question, the Upanishad says, yes, there is a higher form of knowledge, a higher form of awareness, in which knowledge and experience become one. This is only the subjective knowledge, the knowledge of infinity, the knowledge of eternal subject alone satisfies this criteria, where the knowledge and experience become one. So that is the knowledge of the true self of man and of the universe too. Such questions, such existential questions or questions about the nature of reality does not come to all minds. All individuals are not able to put this question. It requires a different type of discipline and training in order to put this type of question. And the Vedanta says, at present, this mind of us, which is in thraldom to sense objects, senses, or to the mind, whatever it is, to the finite world and to the world of changing, this very mind can be disciplined and trained and made to equip for the realization of the true nature of man. Sri Ramakrishna says that pure mind, pure buddhi, pure Atman is one and the same. When the dross of the mind is completely removed, when the mind becomes serene, or you call transparent, one-pointed, it just, the light of the Atman filters through it. Even now it does, but so much of impurity, so much of sense impressions are that the light of the Atman is almost invisible, we can say. But when the mind is purified, it becomes transparent and capable of giving us the immediate knowledge. It is as if there's no mind at all. The mind is so transparent, so pure that you hardly can recognize that there is a mind. So we almost get the immediate knowledge without the mediation of the mind. So that's what we are seeking. So our problem is now what? How to redeem, how to free this mind? Or like how the other day you were reading and discussing the Upanishad and self-discovery, extracting the mind, awareness from the fold of memory, from the memory. So whatever you call either memory or mind or whatever it. So separating the awareness completely, and by that we free the mind from its finitude. This is the our sadhana or the struggle. Upanishad, the Vedanta says the Atman, which is pure consciousness, the pure being, is infinite, eternal subject, and it's the self of man and of the universe also. But due to Maya, it identifies itself with the body, mind, senses, hence its finitude, hence its creatureliness. And the Upanishadic sages said, to us, the world alone, that world alone is desirable, which is uncaused, birthless, which is eternal. Uncaused, birthless, eternal. And since it is eternal, it cannot be acquired through any other means other than fighting the ignorance, destroying the ignorance, because finite can never realize the infinite. So in order to realize the infinite, eternal, the ignorance has to be removed. And this oneness of the Atman and Brahman can never be achieved without renunciation. Tyage naike amritatvam manashahu. Neither by progeny nor by work, action. is the immortal gain. Immortal is gained only through renunciation. This is the final word of the Upanishads. And all our attempt is to get this nirvasana. That can happen only through nirvasana, vasana tyaga, renunciation of desire. How beautifully Holy Mother put. How beautifully she put. If you are desireless, this moment you are free. What's holding us? The desires. And desire doesn't mean to say the gross. There are gradation, subtlety of desires are also there. Desire to go for heaven, desire to have name, desire to have fame, that also is gross. So many other desires to be, what do you call, Aishwarya of God, to get the powers of God. There are people who have done tapasya just to get the powers of God. We have in the Puranas stories. So there are vasana tyaga, renunciation of the desire is the criterion for the freedom from the senses or desire, whatever it is. So why does this come? Ignorance, avidya, kama, karma. Ignorance, or whatever you call, brings desire, and desire, flow of activity. We all have some sort of ignorance, that's true, but that doesn't affect our life. Some women may not know how to cook, life goes. Some may not know accounts, life goes. I do not know many things about your digital world, life is going with me. That's all right. But the ignorance of one's own self is the most dangerous thing. It will make a creature of us, a beast of us. What do we see in the world? If just people are aware of little the dignity of the human nature, world would have been far better. Why do we see it? Because the ignorance of one's own nature, that is very dangerous. And this ignorance is not of any ordinary type. It's very positive. Positive in the sense, it veils your knowledge and then it projects something else. You forget your noble nature and then you think you are something else. That's the worst of it. Forget it, that's different. And then you think you're somebody. Children coming from noble families, forget the, what do you call, pedigree of their family, and then behave like ordinary people. You've forgotten and you behave stupidly. So that is the danger. So even so with us, we forget our divinity and behave like creatures, begging for the enjoyment from this senses, from that sense, this one, that one. Why this beggary for us? Upanishad says, you are the child of immortality, Amritasya Putra. Why this beggary for you? So that is, so once when this is understood, what happens? We are free from misery and delusion. Greatest blessing, freedom from delusion. Tatra ko moha kashoka ekatvam anupashyata. One who has attained the oneness, what delusion, what sorrow can be there? The Mundaka Upanishad says, Pidyate hridaya granthi. All the knots of the heart is cut asunder. All the karmas are burnt. The seeds of karma is burnt. When we realize the reality that is without, the reality is within. Paravare, far and near. So this is the blessing we get. So with this small introduction, we start the Kenopanishad. It's invocation mantra. It has 2 mantras, but we will take up one. Yeah. This doesn't work, I suppose. Well, I depend on this. I haven't written. Doesn't matter. Om apyayantu mamangani Vak prana chakshushrotramata balamindriyani cha sarvani sarvam brahma upanishadam maham brahma nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakaroda Nirakarnamastva Nirakarname Astu Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishatsu Dharmaste Mahisantu Te Mahisantu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It's a prayer. We are seeking the spiritual aspect of our personality. Yet we are praying for strong limbs. Let our limbs be strong, let our eyes and everything be vigorous, sense organs be vigorous, mind, all this we are seeing. Why? Because if the body is strong, everything will be strong. A weak person can never seek knowledge. Nayamatma balahinena labhya. Atman is not realized by weak. Weakness of any sort has to be shunned. Physical weakness, mental weakness, intellectual weakness, spiritual weakness, all weakness. We should be strong, physically strong, because spiritual experiences, if we are fortunate to get, our nervous system should be strong to bear them. So this is very important. We see that fragile person, Sri Ramakrishna, look at him, how he is, what tremendous spiritual realization he had and how strong he was. Holy Mother says he used to be very hefty, and Madhurnath had given a big bench to sit. That was not enough for him. So strong. That is why he could put up with all that. So strong body is needed. That's why it's a prayer. May my limbs, speech, prana, eyes, ears, and my strength and all my sense organs be nourished. Everything is Brahman of the Upanishads. See, everything is Brahman of the Upanishads. May I never deny Brahman. May Brahman never deny me. May there never be denial on the part of Brahman. May there never be the denial on my part. May all the virtues described in the Upanishads belong to me, who am devoted to Brahman. May they all belong to me. Om, peace, peace, peace. The emphasis is again and again, may we not forget our true nature. Brahman will not forget us. It's we who forget. But we feel God doesn't look at us because we ourselves cover, and then we say, no, God is not looking at us. He has forgotten us. He doesn't even care for my prayers. I'm speaking from the point of dualistic. So this is what, but if I am open to truth also will be open to me. So the effort, because I am the seeker, so the effort should be from my side. That is where at least may I never forget it. It's like an auto-suggestion giving to ourselves, these prayers. And the virtues of the Upanishads, what are they? We read in the Mundaka Upanishad, Satyena labhyastapasa hesha atma samyak jnanena brahmacharyena nityam. 4. Satya, truthfulness, thought, word, and speech. Tapasa, disciplining of the mind and senses and channelizing the energy for the higher purpose. Tapasa. Spiritual understanding and chastity. These are the 4. And this Upanishad, Kena Upanishad also says, Tapo, Dhamma, Karmeti Pratishtha. This knowledge is established on austerity, self-discipline, and selfless work. Selfless work, Karma Yoga, is the indicator how much of jnana you have. Jnana is the basis for Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is the effect, the indicator of your knowledge. And when there is knowledge, karma yoga becomes very smooth. There's effortlessly, all of your action will be a loving service or dedication to higher things. And if that is something is wrong, then you understand your understanding of the Upanishad is not still correct. So mutually. So with this, we come to the first mantra of this Upanishad. This Upanishad, there are 4 chapters. The first 2 are in the form of a dialogue between the teacher and the taught. The first mantra. Om kene shitam patati preshitam mana kena prana prathama praiti yuktaha kene shitam vachamimam vadanti chakshushotram ku devo yunaktihi. By whose will, directed, does the mind proceed to its objects? At whose command does the prana, the foremost, do its duty? At whose will do men utter speech? Who is the God that directs the eyes and the ears? Mind. What is the power that makes the mind to alight on the objects? This certainly implies the Vedantic concept of perception. I'll deal with this in the next chapter very clearly, but just briefly I'll tell. See, consciousness along with the subtle body or the mind goes out through the sense organ and alights on the object. And this mind or antakarna or subtle body, whatever, it is so flexible. It modifies itself according to the form of the object. And once when it comes in, the object comes into contact with the consciousness, it is revealed that the object, what I see is this. To explain, it takes a long time, but things are done in so quickly, we don't even know. So in the second chapter, we come across pratibodha, a very beautiful term. At that time, I will deal clearly. And prana, about prana is the life force. It is this power which gives the sense organs to conduct its work. So how is this prana being worked out? That is what the question is. How does the prana supply its energy? That means prana is functioning. How does it function? How does the prana function? The sense organ function with the help of prana. But how does prana function? That is the question. The question is very deep. And which God, luminous being, we know. So he is directing the eyes and ears. So this is the question. Because the ears and eyes, sense organs are inert and unintelligent. There must be some intelligent principle which directs them towards that and gets the function done. So that's the idea. You see, such questions, such deep question, as I told you, is not asked by ordinary mind, but here the disciple has thought over life, he has led the life, he has understood the vanities of life, he has understood the emptiness of the funfair that's going on around, the false values. He is seeking something better, and he has studied his own mind. Very few we do. Very few we ask the credentials of our senses and the mind. So this individual has lived a mature life, a thinking and analytical life he has led. So he has naturally questions, and he has come to the conclusions that I don't think the sense organs and the mind are themselves free. Because if the mind was free and independent, we think the mind is independent and it's functioning independently, it's self-sufficient reality. Ask a layperson outside. They say, what? I think, I determine, I do things. I have acquired the knowledge and I know things. This is what they say. Do you expect someone, that person will know that some intelligent being behind him directing his mind? And no, this is the common idea with all people. And if we think the mind is independent, do you think such a mind will take foolish ways? Like, for example, the mind knows a certain act, if done, it has a bad consequence. Yet it does. It does. It's the problem we are having with our meditation is that we want our mind to go towards the Ishta. Why on earth it is going to anywhere? It knows. It is going. It knows. If the mind was an intelligent, independent entity, it wouldn't do that. Who will bring one's own fall? But mind does it. So that itself shows, Shankara says, that itself shows that mind is not an intelligent thing. There is there must be. So this is the doubt the disciple has, but he is not sure of it. And so hence he puts this question, what is that power which is directing these things? And so the Upanishads say, yes, there is an intelligent principle. But anyway, and because of which all these things are functioning, and without which the body, mind, sense will become dull, dead entities. So with this, the teacher has, from the question of the disciple itself, the teacher is happy that here is a person who has some idea of what he's asking. Sometimes we do not know the question itself, what we are asking. So here, the teacher understands. He has some preconceived idea about whatever it is, some ideas he has got about so he can instruct him. So, and the second one, the teacher answers. Shrotasya shrotam manaso mano yadu vacho havacham savu pranasya pranah chakshuscha chakshur atimuchya dhira pretyasmad lokad amrita bhavanti. The teacher replied, it is the ear of ear, the mind of the mind, the speech of speech, the life of life, and the eye of the eye. Having detached the self from the sense organs and renounced the world, the wise attains to immortality. So as I said, the student has deeply pondered over this phenomenon and has inferred that there must be some power working through, but still he's not sure of it. So he puts this question and the master assures that his inference is correct, but he does not give him a direct answer. Instead, he gives an answer which is of a suggestive nature. Suggestions are given, that's all. You can't give anything. Sri Ramakrishna says in Bengali, how can one give everything? Abhastuku devaja. That means I can give you a clue, that's all, nothing more than. We have to work on it because nobody is carrying us on their shoulders to the other shores of the life or reality. We have to work. It's our minds with our body, mind, senses given by nature. We have to work on it and we have to. So all the that can be given from the scriptures or the teachers is just the suggestions. The rest of the work has to be done by us. So the pupil has to work on his reasoning, power of intuition. He has to strip the non-self from the self, and arrive at the reality. So Shankara's commentary on this is, yes, there is a changeless reality at the innermost core of man, unborn, ageless, deathless, and fearless. Look at the adjectives. How beautiful. The innermost self of man is unborn, ageless, deathless, and fearless, which is revealed to the intelligence of the wise, and which expresses itself through the functions of ears and other sense organs. You see, it's peeping through. Just like you have a lamp with all holes, that you can see the light coming through those. So these are these senses, the mind, all these are through which the power of the Atman is coming. So you can infer through the working of the senses. And it is a source of all the diverse energies. For example, we take electricity. The same electricity is warming me up here, and that's cooling in the fridge. Manifestation is different, but it's the same electricity. The light, the fan, the fridge, everything's working. But electricity as it is, we do not know, but its manifestation we understand. So in the same way, the Atman by itself we don't, but its manifestation, we understand, infer through the functioning of the sense organs. So here, he speaks of ear of the ear. The first ear is the capital E. So there's a higher power which works through the ordinary. This is an instrument, but the organ is organ of hearing, and mind of the mind, and speech of the speech. Mind here, when we say here mind is, buddhi is also included in it. Mind has got that oscillating tendency, indecisive, sankalpa vikalpatmaka. How? Doubting nature. Or should I or should I not? Maybe I do, no, may I not do. This sort of indecisiveness, this is a state of mind. Determinative faculty. When after studying the pros and cons of a situation or a issue, whatever it is, you come to a decision. That is, the mind has risen to buddhi level. Actually, it's all the same, one anthakarana, one subtle organ. According to depending upon the functions, we bifurcate or give different name for it. So buddhi is determinative faculty. So when here the Upanishad says mind, it includes both the buddhi and the mind. And prana is the life force which functions as breathing, ejecting the undigested food and drink, and which supplies energy or the nourishment to the whole body. This is the function of the prana. See, prana also. And he says, having detached the self from the sense organs and renounced the world, the wise attains to the immortality. So all this is possible because the Atman endows the prana with energy to function. The pretyasmat. After, is it post-mortem liberation? No. Here and now. The Upanishad never says after giving up your body, you will become immortal. No. Especially this Upanishad will say, here and now. If you realize the truth here and now, here it is there. And if you don't, great is your loss. This very Upanishad will tell us later on. So this attainment of the immortality is not after giving up the body. Here, when we raise ourselves above the sense life, when the gravitational pull of the sense doesn't pull us down, we raise above its pull. And when we get established in higher reality, then the chances are that we attain. So the wise man separates the Atman from the whole apparatus, this whole body and mind. And he raises above the sense life. He attains immortal. That means Dehatma Buddhi, the identification with the body, has to be overcome. How do we do that? The knowledge of the Atman, realization has not taken place. So how do I do it? Give strong suggestions. It's like auto suggestions giving. I am pure, I am nitya, I am eternal, I am pure, I am a spiritual nature, I am infinite, immortal, I am not this creature. Why do I behave this? So this is how we overcome. There's no other way. Constantly we need to give the suggestion to our mind, especially when something is dragging. Immediately, they say when a leech holds, we put a salt on its mouth, immediately it leaves. So when weaknesses dominate, immediately bring back the reason. Say, I am that, I am that. And you will see, immediately it loosens, it just falls off, the idea just falls off. And always we take our stand on the self. We never come down. We look upon all our activities, all our body, mind becomes an object, and we remain as the subject and observing, the Sakshi. This attitude, in small things we can start doing. Then it becomes a nature with us. It becomes our second nature. So for the time being, memory is the only thing. Actually, memory is the one we have to get rid of. But until and unless it becomes a matter of experience, we need to hold on to the memory and the words of the teacher, faith in the teacher. So all this is needed. So instead of supposing we ask someone, who are you? I'm so-and-so, the son of so-and-so, I am Mrs. So-and-so. This is what we answer. But what are you? Supposing anybody asks you, what are you? Then I think, what am I? So at least, but now, if you say, what are you? You'll say, I'm CEO of such and such a company, I am this and that, you will say. They identify themselves with the intellectual things or their positions in the society. But just imagine, what are you? What a question it is. Not who are you? What are you? So we need to, what am I? What am I? This sort of questions we put to ourselves. This is the only way we have to start. And then slowly, we have to gain ground. And then take the stand. So the third and the fourth mantra, it's clubbed together. So the teacher couldn't give him a direct answer. So he's saying, I'm the eye of the, how can he give? It's the eternal subject. You cannot objectify the reality. A subjective reality can never be explained in objectivity. You can't give an objective explanation for it. So the teacher has given him, it looks as if he has given an elusive answer, but it isn't. He's just giving the clue. And now, na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vag gacchati no mano, na vidmo na vijanimo, ithaita danushishyat, anya deva tat vididat atho avididadati, iti sushruma purvesham yenas tadvyacha chakshire. The eye doesn't go thither, nor speech, nor mind. We do not know it. We do not understand how anyone can teach it. It is different from the known. It is above the unknown. Thus we have heard from the preceptors of the old who taught it to us. Look at the humility of the person. Never take credit. This teacher himself is a knower of Brahman, but he doesn't, I have realized the Brahman, I know Brahman. No, this is how we have, our teachers have, giving credit to the teachers. That's the saying, Vidya dadati vinayam. Knowledge brings humility. So this, you can feel the touch of humility in this person. So that there the eyes doesn't go, nor the speech, nor the mind. And we do not know how to. how to teach it. So the teacher is utterly in want of words, cannot express what he wants to express to the teacher. That is why he says that it is, we do not know how. The mind, the sense organs, and the body, whatever you call, what are they? Are they real? The Upanishads, the Vedanta says there's only one reality, that is Brahman, one infinite reality, on which this whole universe, including our body, mind, intellect, is superimposed, just like a snake on the rope. This is the Advaitic analogy. You can never have an Advaitic talk without this. It has to be there. This is. So when we ask, what is the essence of the illusory snake? We know the snake is an illusion we have on this rope. So if you ask, what is the essence of the illusory snake? It is rope. Through and through, it is rope. You cannot say on the last bit, I think it is the snake, the tail of the snake. No, nothing of that sort. If it is snake, it would be snake. If it is rope, it would be rope. So through and through, the snake is nothing but rope. Through and through, this universe is, manifested universe is nothing but pure consciousness. That's that. This whole of this universe is superimposed on Brahman. So this universe is nothing but Brahman through and through. So that is what it is. So this reality, which is pure consciousness, pure being, eternal subject, which cannot be explained, the teacher is saying, I don't know how to explain. I do not know. So immediately he says, it's not that. It is not unknown. It is something different from the known. And it is something above the unknown. That student may take, oh, then the reality is unknown. We can never know the reality. He will take into this type of understanding will come to him. Hence, immediately he says, it is above the unknown. It's not unknown. It's above the unknown. So let us see. It is other than that is known, and it is also beyond and above unknown. So Shankaracharya says in his commentary, apart from the Atman, that is one's own self, there cannot be verily be any other entity which can be other than both the known and unknown. And therefore, the Atman and Brahman is one and the same. Atman is Brahman. See, there cannot be any entity which possesses this trait of knowing and unknowing. It's only the true self of man. We do not know our nature, isn't it? We do not know. We haven't realized our Atman. We do not know the nature of Atman. But yet, can you deny that you do not know anything about yourself? What is more known than your own self? You see, it's between known and unknown. It's a very tricky thing. So the Atman is above, something different from known. Right from the galaxy, take any galaxies, to my own body, mind, intellect, even ego. I am so and so. Till that, everything is known. All this falls into category of known. That means it is not self. It is not Atman. Non-Atman it is. And we have no idea of the known. So naturally, we may become an, agnostics, like there's nothing such a thing called us. It happens. That's how poor Buddha couldn't tell. And ultimately his philosophy became no Atman. No real, and there's nothing such a thing called a self. Because it was difficult, he couldn't explain. That explanation would give to so much of metaphysics, so which he didn't want. But ultimately, all the metaphysics came into his system. So the Atman above known and above unknown also can mean the avyakta. You remember when we read the Kathopanishad, we saw the avyakta, unmanifest, is the first evolute of the Prakriti. It is the seed of it's the bija, the seed of the universe, from which the whole universe has come. So, but Brahman is beyond that. So that also it might mean. It text, you can interpret it as anything. And then the student, the teacher says, thus have we heard from our teachers. That means to say, what is the proof? The Atman is, the proof is agama. The scripture is the only evidence. Scriptural, shabda, pramana. Scriptural testimony is the only pramana until and unless you realize. So, Shruti, scriptures are in Vedas are called as Shruti because we hear. So, Shruti, scriptures, and then you think over it, ponder over it, analyze, reason, and come to understand. That is yukti, reason out. Shruti, yukti, these two. And then finally, anubhuti, experience. All this has to go together. There should be consistency. What the scripture says, what I think and analyze and reason out, and my experience. All these three should tally. Only then we have attained to the knowledge of the Atman. And now, the fifth one. So the Upanishad now explains in refrain the 5 mantras, the infinite nature of the Atman, or the infinite nature of man. So we deal with only 2 mantras. That's enough, because it's the same thing. It's going. So, but the other 3 mantras, I just chant and we read the English meaning of it. But we deal with the 2. So the 5th mantra says, Yad vachanabhyuditam yena vagabhyudyate tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. That which cannot be expressed by speech, but by which speech is expressed, that alone know as Brahman, and not that which people here worship. Now we are put into trouble. And what about our Ishta mantra and Ishta devatas? We have the mantra, we repeat our mantra, do japa, and we meditate on the Saguna Brahma, God with form. So then what's it? Then it's not Brahman. The question arises. So now, because of the Atman, which is of the nature of pure consciousness, the speech gets the capacity to define things. So when it defines the objective world, there's a saying, God defined is God defiled. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, in Bengali, when he goes to Vidyasagar, he says, everything in this world has been defiled. Only Brahman. Brahma uchishta hoine. Everything, uchishta, means it's defiled by mouth. In our culture, we have got this. We don't put anything, bring things to our, in touch with the lips or the tongue. Our ancestors knew that saliva is the very good medium for infection. That's why for 2 years we had to put mask. See, saliva is a dangerous thing. So from the beginning we are taught never to bite the teeth like this or do like this and go and touch the things. Never. If any time we brought our hands or anything to our mouth, we need to wash the hand. I remember as a child, I had got nice blows from my mother's aunt because I was eating and that fell on the ground and the place got defiled. So this is the tradition, because there is some scientific reason behind it, but that's the thing. Never. And we never keep eating and then do things and serve it all, HL we say, jhuta. So that is never allowed. Now everything is, they keep eating in the same hand they serve. It's not right. So things get defiled. It's not right. So anything that is spoken through mouth is defiled. And we have the hymns and the glories of God we chant. So that means to say, God is defiled. Isn't it? Whenever I sing this Ram Nama, Shuddha Brahma Paratmara Ram, we say, Shuddha Brahma, pure Brahman. Then is there an impure Brahman then? Or Shuddha Brahma? Yes, it is. It is there. According to the Upanishad, Saguna Brahma is inferior Brahma, lower Brahma. That is what. The thing is, here, Upanishad is not depreciating our form of sadhanas or the path of bhakti. No, it takes us wherever we are and just gives us a helping hand. What is it that is making us keeping the distance between our Ishta and us? It's our weakness, our limitations, our creatureliness, our finitude. We cannot feel that in substance, what Sri Ramakrishna is made of, I am made of the same thing. We can't feel. So these things come in, they are the barriers. So they don't allow us to reach. But the Upanishad says, reason out and just brush aside the negativities, brush aside your weakness. You are not weak, you are infinite, your purity itself. You are not to be pure, you are purity already. Take your stand on the purity. You are one with your Ishta. So to make us come closer to our Ishta, the Upanishads gives us a lifting hand. It is a helping hand. Like toddlers need something to hold and walk. The Upanishad is giving, hold on to me, get up. No weakness for you. Come on. You are made of the same stuff. What Ishvara is made of. You are made of same stuff. It's not, the difference is not in the kind, it's differences in the degree. Ramakrishna has fully manifested his divinity. You are manifesting it little. Who is asking you not to? Come on. Manifest your divinity. Get rid of this ego. See yourself in others and serve and love. See, we have got in this Bhagavatam, again, even in this Upanishads also we'll be having, the demons and the asuras were churning the ocean, milky ocean, and many good things came. So they appropriated to themselves. Good things they appropriated themselves. When the poison came, all ran off. And the whole poison is engulfing the universe. It's choking. Where to go? And Vishnu is already as in the form of tortoise is down. You cannot go to him. He is supporting the mountain behind. I'm telling about the mythology. So finally, to whom to approach? They approach Shiva. He is meditating at one. What is he meditating on? On himself, which is infinite, immortal, non-dual. And when the Devatas and the Asuras came for his help, Trahi, Trahi, they're saying, protect me, protect us, protect us. Poison is engulfing us. What did Shiva open his eyes and what did he see? He saw himself in them. He saw his own self. So he was suffering in that body, in those bodies. So that motivated him to drink the poison. See, the knowledge of the self can erase completely your individuality and make you a blessing to the society, to the world. This is how, if Sri Ramakrishna said, if the rascal ego doesn't go, let him be a devotee. So the Upanishad says, get rid of him, get rid of this. It's a delusion. You are one infinite, non-dual reality. So for this, the Upanishad is asking us, the one whom you are worshipping is the self of yours. He is within you. That reality is within you. Is the Atman of yours. Sri Ramakrishna said, Jejarishta Sridharaprana. Whoever the Ishta is your own Atma. Because we cannot have our own subjective, we objectify the subjective reality. That's our Ishta. So here, no way the Upanishads is depreciating our value or looking down upon our path of sadhana. It's only helping us to rise above and to be united in truth and spirit. So here, know that alone as Brahman, not what people were. That is, even in the Upanishad, it says, if you do not know the nature, your real nature, then you will be a creature to the gods. The Brahmaninic Upanishad says. So you have to know that you are one infinite reality. That is what the Upanishad is trying to, the emphasis is to indicate that the pure self, without the conditioning. Now we have conditioned the Atman and we call I am so and so. This jivahood has come. What is a jiva? The pure consciousness limited by body, mind, senses is the conditioned jiva. But remove those, unconditioned is one infinite reality. So when we discern and understand this, the reality so discerned and experienced is absolute, all-pervading, pure existence. And the Upanishad, the Bradharanic Upanishad, et sakshat aparshat brahma sarvantaratha. The Atman which is immediate and direct and the innermost self of all. The Upanishad is pointing to us this reality. That means to say, not this. So this means the whole na idam upasate, nedam, na idam. It is not that, this, which is people worship. So idam means this, all objective world known. But the Upanishad is emphasizing on the one reality which is behind the many. And the next, the sixth one, 12 o'clock. Yan manasana manute yenarho manomatam tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. That which cannot be apprehended by the mind, but by which, they say, the mind is apprehended. That alone know as Brahman, and not that which people here worship. So as I told you, mind here means mind and buddhi, the doubting faculty and the determinative faculty together is meant by the word. Now, what's mind? What is a mind? Mind is bundle of thoughts. The Upanishads sometimes describe the mind as a river. Take a river. What's a river? Is it just a volume of water between two banks? The essence of the river is it incessant flowing of the water from its source to its destination. So that is river. So also, thoughts are the manifestation of mind. None of us have seen our mind, but we know I'm thinking in my mind. I was thinking in my mind about that. See? Thinking. It's a mass of thoughts. Incessant flow of thoughts, one after other, going such speed without any gap. That is mind. Feel as if that here is something, you feel it. That mind means immediately we put our hand here. Isn't it? We think. So it's the bundle of thoughts, excuse me. But if you can stop this thought, there's no more manifestation of the mind. This can be done. And when the mind is not there, Bodha Swarupa, the Atman which is of pure awareness, no mediation. You immediately, direct, aparoksha, you know that you are the self. So all the problem is with this mind. Get rid of this mind. How to get rid of the mind? That is why we say yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. Mind is not something you go and wash and clean it off. I got a very clean mind. No, that cannot be. You have to work on it. How? First, we start focusing on one thing. That is why infinite images are there in our minds. So we forms so many images. So one image, one form, we call it Ishta. And to the exclusion of this, we meditate on one particular form, one particular name, to the exclusion of all other forms. All this is the only way we can get hold of the mind. By reducing the thoughts, this is how we reduce. When we focus on one particular thing, the others gets backseat, and slowly they become go deep in. When the knowledge of the Atman comes, everything gets burnt. We said Kshiyanteja, all karmani, all the samskaras will be burnt. The knowledge of the self, no more mind. There's the realization of the Atman. We become one with it. And here, the mind is very close to the Atman. Buddhi is also there. Here, when we are speaking, mind and buddhi both is included. They are close to Atman. So they get the light of the Atman more than the body and the sense organs. So this luminosity of the Atman is on that. That is why we feel that it is independent, it is self-sufficient, but actually they are not. So this Upanishad is pointing to that one reality in two ways. At first he said, it's the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, the speech of the speech. And here, the mind cannot go, the ears cannot reach there. So it's pointing from two different angles. It's pointing to the one reality, one infinite Atman behind us. The Atman is, the Upanishad is asking us to recognize this reality. This is called as non-denial. In the Isha Upanishad, we read, one who Nitya Vartamana Atmanam Tiraskaranat. By negating, by neglecting the ever-present reality, you commit a spiritual suicide. So the Upanishad is asking us to recognize and assert it and be free. So the last three mantras, just let me chant. It's in the same, it's in reference, so I'm just chanting. Yat chakshushana pashyati, yena chakshumshi pashyati, tadeva brahmatvam vidhi, nedam yadidam upasate. That which cannot be perceived by the eye, but by which the eye is perceived, that alone know as Brahman, and not that which people here worship. Yashrotrena nashrunoti, yena shrotramidam shrutam, tadeva brahmatvam vidhi, nedam yadidam upasate. That which cannot be heard by the ear, but by which the hearing is perceived, that alone know as Brahman, and not that which people here worship. Yat pranena na praniti, yena prana praniyate, tadeva brahmatvam vidhi, nedam yadidam upasate. That which cannot be smelt by the breath, but by which the breath smells an object, that alone know as Brahman, and not that which people here worship. With this, the first chapter of the Kena Upanishad comes to an end.
There's time for question, answers, discussion. Got a roving microphone here. Yeah, Jay. Thanks.
Mataji, you were talking about this before we go into the before we eh, before we go into the details. Who is the teacher and who is the thought in this Upanishad?
The rishi who is answering.
Who is the rishi?
First, it's just a dialogue. It doesn't have to. It's the name of the rishi or nothing is given. It's in a form of dialogue. Somebody is asking a question. The Upanishad is putting in that format. So there is a disciple and there is a rishi. Nothing. No particular rishi is mentioned.
The other question which actually into the Kena Upanishad, there are three things: Atma, Brahman, and God. Where do you place God in between Atma and Brahman? Where do you place God? We worship God. Now,
that is unmanifest.
Yeah, we are bringing, you said Atman and Brahman are the same, but actually there is a.
No, Atman and Brahman is the same, one and the same.
Yeah, but one and the same. But when I read that some of the, in this particular Upanishad, the Atman is the individual self with the senses, whereas the Brahman
That
is
is,
the cosmic.
no,
Cosmic.
self with the body and mind is not the. It is a jiva. It's a jiva. You should make out the difference between the jiva and the pure Atman.
Yes.
When the pure Atman foolishly identifies itself with the body, mind, and senses and thinks it itself as an individual,
Yes.
then it is no more, it is not Brahman. It is a jiva. It has its weaknesses. It has its limitations. When stripped off
Of the body.
When it frees itself from this whole apparatus, the pure essence is Brahman. So till then you cannot say it's jiva. It has its jiva.
So what you're saying, the jiva and Brahman are the same?
No.
That's
Atman and Brahman are the same. Jiva is not never. Jiva is a limitation. It's a bondage.
Okay.
That Atman which is in the bondage. And its bondage is not real.
Okay.
If it was real, it never would have been free. Its bondage is also superimposed.
Okay. So Atman and Brahman are the same. Jiva is different.
Jiva.
Yeah, okay.
When you are in a bound state, you are a jiva. When you are liberated from all this finitude, then you are one with the Brahman. Yeah.
Then you mentioned about Saguna Brahman, because Saguna and Nirguna Brahman.
Nirguna Brahman is the Brahman.
Saguna Brahman is the characteristics.
Manifest.
With the attributes.
Yes. It is the unmanifest, avyakta.
So that is.
If you had attended the Katha Upanishad, we had put it, the chart, isn't it?
Yeah, I was not there anyway.
Anyway, next time, at some other time, I'll tell you. See, there are three selves in us. The waking self, the dreaming self, the waking self, the dreaming self, and
Turiya.
No.
The dream state and the sleep state.
Deep sleep.
Sushupti.
Yes. So in that way, it's all terminologies. Please don't confused with it. It's just the one reality. Is we have a different states, isn't it? We are in the waking state and we sleep, and then we go into deep sleep. Everyday occurrences. And so in the waking state, the self is called as Vaishvanara. In the sleep, in the dreaming state, it's Tejas. Why? Luminous. No one dreams a dark dungeon in the dream. The dream is illuminated. Who illumines? The self. The self which is, it's the luminosity of the self is there. That is why our dream world is also luminous, bright. That's why it is called as Tejas. And Prajna. Prajna, in the deep sleep, Prajna. It's called as Prajna. The self in the dream state is called as Prajna. Just don't get confused with the names, all these Sanskrit names. So in the deep thing, the ignorance is packed. The mind is not functioning. The mind has completely gone deep. The sense organs are almost dead. The body is dead like. So Sri Ramakrishna says, here is an arrogant man whom the whole world trembles at. But that man, when he sleeps, if somebody goes and does anything, he won't even know what has happened to that ego. It has completely gone, completely submerged. But it has not completely gone away. It is packed. The ignorance is completely, it's in a causal form. That is why when the person wakes up, he's the same tyrant. Or if he is an ignorant, foolish fellow, he's the same fool. But what the Upanishad, through Upanishad, by the study, by working on yourself, by purity, with all the sadhana, what we are consciously coming to that state of sushupti. Consciously, every day we go into unconsciously. Nature does it. We are taken. Whether you want it or not, you will go into it. However, whatever may be your worries, you sleep. Even it may be even for a few minutes. You will sleep.
Yeah.
Because it's the organism's mechanism. It puts you, it lulls you into sleep. And then you go deep into it. But consciously experiencing the sushupti is samadhi. What happens is, in sushupti, there is no gross world and there is no subtle world. And what happens in the meditation, in the sadhana? You forget the universe outside and you forget your own person. Only then the samadhi comes. So consciously attempting the sushupti is the knowledge. You have worked on it and erased the ego. But in the naturally, how the nature does, the ego doesn't go. It goes into causal form and it stays there. You cannot, because you have not purified it, you have not worked on it, you have not erased it. So it is there. So when you come back to the normal consciousness, it bumps up. The same ignorance come back. So this is microcosm. Macrocosm is Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Avyakta, the Godhead. So in the macrocosm, in the microcosm, Vaishvanara, Taijasa, Prajna. So it is like that. So God comes in the third. Your Prajna and God comes there.
That's in the sleep.
What you come in the sleep in the Sushupti.
Susupti, yes.
That is in the cosmic level. At the cosmic level, that is the God. He is the.
That is Saguna
So
Brahman.
that he is the first cause. God is the first cause.
And Nirguna, there's no distinction.
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Yes, Kannan? These are all just the terminologies. So that's why I don't go into all this. It will make people unnecessarily confusion.
Sridharaprana was an excellent talk and there was lots of points that came up, but I just wanted to ask you simply, I think earlier on that you mentioned, if I got it right, was that one of the things was for the knowledge and the experience to become the one, right?
Yeah.
When that, I just am trying to visualize it. So can you give a practical example of how one could visualize that?
See, we have many knowledge. We have got many knowledge, but we don't become the one with that. For example, I know knowledge of this table. This is made of teak wood and this is how it has to be. I have this knowledge, but I don't become the table. But when I have the knowledge of the Atman, I know I am the Atman. The knowledge and Atman becomes one. It is for understanding I'm saying knowledge and Atman. Knowing and being is one and the thing. Knowing and being are one and the same. So only when we speak of knowing, that's why we say you cannot know the Atman, you can be. Knowing Atman means when the idea of knowing comes, it becomes objective. So being and becoming, you become one with it. So the experience, the knowledge that you are infinite Atman, when all this upadhis and everything is gone, immediate knowledge, you are one with it. And nothing can make you deviate from that experience. Nothing, no more, no, never. Once I know, it is the deficiency of the language and explanation. That's why we bring the word no. And no, but in experience, it is not there. It's being, it's just the being. Isness. I am that. I am that. I become one. when we talk about explanation, always duality comes. However, the language may be refined. That is why the Upanishad uses a negative language. That's the only way of indicating. That's what I told you. The Upanishads never give you any objective reply, or it will not tell you, this is Brahman. No. What is not Brahman, it shows. You are not this, you are not that, you are not this doesn't go there, that doesn't go there. Why? It just gives you suggestions. You need to be what you want to be by negating this. So that's why the language of the Upanishad is negative. That's why, neti neti, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, neti neti, not this, not this. That's
Perhaps, Mataji, I was just thinking
Yeah.
about Kannan's question. One example that kind of comes to mind where knowledge and experience come together, it may be too gross, but when someone sings, a
I just
musician,
was thinking.
there is someone, when that experience is there, you feel the divinity in that person singing. And everybody sings, but you don't feel that. But the person who sings, when they experience that music, they become that music.
Because there is a complete identification with it. What happens is that time the person is not singing for anybody else.
So that
It is not for you. You
kind
become
of-
one with that. See, when does an acting becomes very wonderful? When you completely identify with the actor. If you have all the time, I'm so and so, I'm so and so, it will never be. You cannot bring out the. But when you have identified completely with that, you bring out the best. So that might be a very as you told, a near example. Because it's a subjective experience. However much I might tell you, however you might hear, it will, until and unless you work upon yourself and there. Somebody might, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, you ask, how does sugar taste? You may say, it tastes sweet. How does sweet taste? Now, what do you answer? You eat and see. Then you will know what is sugar. That's the only thing. So experience it. You be that, what you want to know. So knowing is also for the sake of understanding, for the sake of communicating. At the most, you might tell like that, but it is always it's a personal experience. That is why the Upanishad said even the Vedas are aparavidya. Paravidya is that by which the imperishable is realized. See, even the holy scriptures are denied. The Vedas, you ask a very strong Orthodox Hindu, what is Veda? He'll say the whole universe has come from the Vedas. That's their idea. And that type of strongness, with all that orthodoxy and with all that, still the Upanishad says, no, you cannot confine the infinite God within the bonds of the books or within the bonds of your thoughts. No. So that is what I meant. At the most we can give. You become one with the experience. That you and that experience are not different. That is what is meant. That happens only in this. And in no other entity. Yes, please.
That seeker and the seeker, see, when you are seeking someone, the knowledge and the knower becomes the one. That time
It becomes
become the
one.
Brahman.
Yeah, one. It becomes one. It's not that the knower is trying to know, known is trying to know the knower or anything. The perceived can never know the perceiver. But the perceived and perceiver can become one by separating themselves with all the limitations that they have. Then it becomes one. Drigdrishya, this is the one. The seen and the seer. So that's it.
Excuse me. Just whenever we're delving into these very high philosophical ideas, I often feel there's a terrible gulf between what it is we're grappling with through these Upanishadic teachings and where we are in our spiritual life. And I wonder how to feel where we're
The
not
gap,
just, we're
reduce
not
the
just
gap.
this observer of some almost like other dimension. It seems like that sometimes. How to feel more connected with it, in our own
Even to
experience.
say
our own
connected
spiritual
means
life.
that means to say there is a difference. It's a long journey, but then you have to start from somewhere. Instead of filling the gap, there's no gap at all because you infill even the gap. If you feel you're over here, the goal to be reached here, and what are you? You are here also. So why do you feel the gap? Always, Swamiji says, when the tyrant is on your neck, repeat, thou art that, thou art that. I remember as a young girl, I used to go in the street. I would see, I am that, I'm not this. Then there's a mantra in the Upanishad, Tvam Stri, Tvam Pumanasi, thou art the man, thou art the woman, thou art the young man going with all, what do you call, assertive man going, and then thou art the one who is tottering with the stick. Tvam Stri, Tvam Pumanasi, Tvam Va Utava, Kumari Utava, Tvam Jirno Dandasi. Something is, I've forgotten now. I've forgotten the mantra. I don't nowadays chant the Upanishads much. So it's like that. So I would keep on repeating. Tvam Stri, Tvam Pumanasi. I would see young men, women going, Tvam Stri, Tvam Pumanasi. I would think like that. I'm doing manana, contemplation like that. And then one day I saw a young man going in his motorbike fast, passed by. So you are the young man going with all, with this pride and yeah. And then I saw a beggar in the street walking with the stick. Oh, so now I said, I have got the realization. Here is the youth and here is the old man. I felt so happy because that situation there was very much tallying with my thoughts. So you start like that. You have to. Always. That doesn't come in any, it doesn't contradict with your mantra, your ishta, your sadhana. Always, even to realize your ishta, you have to know that you are Atman. Even Ramanujacharya, he says, gives this type of, this feeling as, what is that word? Atmavalokana. Atmavalokana. This is the thinking is. Only then, see, there should be, in order to have a relationship, this is an egalitarian society, you don't understand. In India, it is not like that. Servants have their own place and the master has it. I can never ask a servant to come with me and sit, and she or he will not do that. So that distance is there. That's how the culture of that country is. So this difference of status is there. But if I know, the friendship comes with equality, isn't it? Where this equals have friendship. So if I feel I'm inferior, I'm a jiva, I have got this, I'm a samsarin, if I cling to my weaknesses, however, how on earth can I go to that? So there should be some equality. If not equality, some sort of nearness also at least should be there. So when I know that I am the Atman, my manifestation of purity or might be very little, but he is the fullness of what I am. So that will take me closer to. So that is why even in the Ramanuja's philosophy also, the realization of the Atman is the beginning. That's why that sadhana is divided as first transformation of consciousness and expansion of consciousness. Understand? Transformation of consciousness. First, I know that I am Atman and I'm the part of that. That is why it is called as Amsha. I'm a part and he is the fullness of it. I'm a part. I'm part of that full being. But actually, when it comes to, when you further take the reason, there is no part in infinity. Infinity is infinity. You cannot cut infinity. That is Advaita. But even in Vishishta Advaita, part, that is, if it's a part cannot be something else. It is a part of that. That means I have all the goodness of what God has, but in a limited degree, in a small degree I have. So that's the only, that is why Swamiji says the difference is not in the kind, it's in degree. So when I understand this, then I approach the God with all dignity. And that will take me closer. If I cling on to my creatureliness, my infinity, I am sinful, this, that, I remain a creature eternally. I have to get rid of it. But that depends. Sorry.
Just from the practical point of view, to answer Robert's question, how to reduce this distance between where we are and where we want to go, isn't it the scripture says by the repetition of japa?
No, repetition as japa and all is fine, but even a parrot repeats. And when the cat catches it, it will come, its voice will come. So always, ours is not that. Ours is Jnana Mishra Bhakti. With the knowledge that I am a part of God, there is no qualitative difference. Just the difference is in degree. I am made of same stuff as what God is made of. There is no real difference. God has fully manifested. I haven't. Wait, I'll do it one day and I'll come close to you. I will not remain separate. I'll be one with you. I will not become God. Because then there will be two creation. This God will create one and that God will, and then there will be. No, I become one with God. I will not have my separate individuality. That you have attained Godhood. You have attained Godhood. But that it doesn't mean to say that you're going to become a second God and create. No, that's not. You become one with it. So that's it. Certainly there is no any difference, but it is always good to know that we are pure spark of the divine. And Swamiji used to give in Thousand Island Park all this. Finally, all of them only liked Ramanuja, not Advaita. Finally, their favorite was Ramanuja because, it's very difficult. We are so much accustomed and perfectly fitting into our ignorance that it is hard for us to break the superstition that we are not finite creatures. We have fitted ourselves from creation after creation. I never say this creation of creation, we have been thinking of ourselves as this limited. So we have perfectly fitted ourselves. And sometimes we are very happy with our ignorance. We hug it. Ignorance is bliss. So this very hard to break this superstition. We cannot believe that we are infinite beings. But if you say God is infinite, only thing is we do not know what's the meaning of infinity. If God is infinite, we cannot become finite. Because there is no finite and infinite in infinite. Infinite is infinite. It's through and through, it's infinite. So what's wrong in thinking myself as an infinite being and feel the joy of it, at least? Isn't it? That's what the Upanishad is asking us to do. Thank you.
So as we've been announcing, this is a monthly series of talks that will go right through to November. 4 chapters. Each month, 1 chapter is covered in the talk. This coming week, we've got the yoga class on Thursday, as usual. We have the spiritual evening discussion coming up this Friday night. Actually, we'll be delving into, amongst other things, awareness, which I think is very important, cultivating or tapping into that underlying awareness that's there beyond the mind, to kind of answer my own question. That's one way to try and link a bit better. Next Sunday, the topic for Gayatri Pranaji's talk is harmony in daily life. And for all our members, please remember that we've got the AGM. So please then stay back for lunch and we'll have the AGM after lunch. Important you attend that. And that's all. So, okay, we'll hope to see you next week.